What's up guys, welcome to B.A.M.F Fabricator. It's a late night in the shop tonight and I'm installing this floor pan on this 1988 Monte Carlo. Now I've already dissected the floor out of this thing and I'm just going to do a quick video on how I'm going to install this, and I just wanted to show you guys. So let me show you what I got done so far. So far what I got done is I braced up this car because this is a T-top car and I didn't want anything to flex in here, and it's held up pretty strong right now. This also had some rust over here in this back floor pan. I had to make that because they don't sell that panel. There's also rust on that side over there, but I'm not worried about that because it's not going to prevent us from putting in the big floor pan. I had to cut all along the edge of this floor pan right here and then start dissecting all that off, drilling out the spot welds, grinding off all the rust and all that kind of stuff. But I got it all out and it's looking pretty good. And it's ready to install this one-piece floor pan right here. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by just installing this in the car and then marking where I need to drill out some spot welds in here. And I also have some pre-drilled spot welds on the car already. I'm going to mark those, that way I could grind some of this coating off of it. That way we could get a good weld in this thing. Alright, you can see it fits pretty good. Now we got some gappage up in here. We're going to have to do some hammering on this to get it to fit to the floor a little bit better. None of these aftermarket pans fit perfectly, but they fit alright. We got some gap up in here too we're going to have to deal with, which is fine. It's not too big of a deal, I don't think. But I'm going to go underneath and mark where I need to drill the holes in here. I already have some spot weld holes underneath this panel over here and on the other side. I'm going to spot weld it up here all the way around the top, and then on these edges to meet all these flanges I'll probably drill some spot welds up on this top flange. That way I could weld it from the top down. I think that would give me the best way to weld it, and then start really fitting this panel in and then welding it in. But so far it looks like it's going to go in pretty smooth. Let's go ahead and take this panel out and then prep it for welding. So now that I've marked my panel, I know exactly where I need to put these spot welds on here. These are the spots where those holes were previously put in the car rather than the pan. So I'm going to grind a little bit of this coating off. That way we could get a pure weld on there. And then also, I think I've said this already, but I'm going to go ahead and pop some holes on that front firewall flange on the car instead of on the pan. So let me just pop some of these out real quick and we'll get this thing fit in there and weld it. Right, I'm going to go ahead and get this back in there and start welding it up. And I'm going to put a couple of clecos in here just to hold this thing in place where I want it. All right, so now I'm just going to start working my way around this panel and welding all these spot welds. And if I find that the top panel is a little loose or not tight up against the bottom panel, I'm just going to tack it in place and then hammer it down, tack it, and just keep working my way through until all this is nice and tight up against the lower panel. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to hammer this all around that bubble there. That way it's all nice and tight. And then I'll finish off those spot welds. And that allows me to be able to make sure that that is all nice and tight up against there. That way we could seam seal it afterward and you won't get any water back in here or any moisture inside the car. This panel is pretty far away from there and it's kind of hard to get that to push up against that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some zip screws and just going to pull that back panel forward and smash these two together. So now it's nice and tight. This is still kind of far away just because the floor panel doesn't really match up very well. So I'm going to probably have to cut this and hammer that over and then weld up a seam just to get it to meet up over here, which is kind of a bummer, but it's just kind of what happens with these panels. So okay, so right here where it was really loose, let me show you, let me zoom in a little bit. I had to cut this way and this way to suck that back down to the floor. But we got it, it looks good. I'm gonna continue, I gotta do the same thing to the other side. It's not quite as bad, it won't be quite as drastic. But I'll have to do that, I'll have to pie cut it right here too and get this to tighten up over this transmission tunnel. And that's pretty much the worst of it. After that, I can weld all this up pretty quick and then this thing will be done. So I ended up hammering this and then clamping it all together so that I get a nice tight fit from the floor to the firewall. And it all's fitting really good. So I'm gonna just start welding this bad boy up too. Alright guys, there's the floor pan. It's in. We had to cut in these corners a little bit and on the top to get it to squeeze over, but it looks good. All these welds are in the original spots that they were over there on the firewall. Came out pretty nice. A little manipulating, but it looks good. Right on guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and we'll see you in the next one.